Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The event will start soon. We kindly ask you to switch off your mobile phones or turn them to silent mode. Thank you very much.
This presentation includes forward-looking statements that are subject to risks and uncertainties. Actual results may differ materially as a result of various risk factors, including those described in the 10-Ks, 10-Qs, and 8-Ks VMware files with the SEC.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Maggie, your MC today. On behalf of VMware Hong Kong, I would like to extend my warm welcome to all of our participants, guests of honor, and sponsors, especially the generous support from our valued sponsors, including the Platinum sponsors, Gold sponsors, Silver sponsors, and Internet access sponsors, as well as the giveaway sponsors. Thank you all for the great support. Without further ado, let's kick off today's event by welcoming Mr. Bernard Kwok, President of VMware Greater China. Bernard, please.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's always fun to be in Hong Kong. And the reason why is I'm actually from Hong Kong, or Hong Kong. But based on the events organizer request, I have to speak English today. And what I love most about the VMware or the vFORUM here in Hong Kong is actually a gathering of the tribe. I think of our community as a trifecta. It's actually more like a golden combination of triangles. There is a Team VMware. You know, Team VMware, we have over 23,000 employees around the world. Globally, we have 75,000 partners, and at the center of this community is actually you, our customers. Without you supporting VMware, there is no event like this one today. Even when we have one, we will be, the event will be a lot less exciting as it is today. Our job at VMware is pretty straightforward. We just need to provide the best technology, the best innovative technologies, and the best forward-looking technologies and innovations and tools to help you to do your stuff. Together, we have changed the world in the last 20 years. Since the few scientists at Stanford University get together to say, hey, we have a new ideas to revolutionize the IT industry. And then the VMware established about 20 years ago. In a sense, we are celebrating 20 years birthday at VMware. From the very beginning, this community, us together, play a very unique role in the tech industry. It is actually very extraordinary of what we have accomplished together. Together, we have a unique ability to bridge across. Over the past 20 years, the IT industries have seen tremendous amount of changes. We have innovation after innovation that is bursting out of nowhere, except that a lot of these innovations, these technologies, creativity is actually creating a lot of silos within the IT industries. And there are natural tensions between one silos with the next. And how do we bridge across? And what the business needs is, how do we move applications and data across from one silo to the next? How do we do that? At that time, there is no true solutions. From the very start, we had an uncanny ability to bridge across all those type of silos to free applications, to allow them to move around at the speed of the business, at the speed of what business requires the data and applications to move. So think of our first act. Most of our data centers were like, when we look back, back 15, 20 years, it's almost like a museum of the past, of the IT industries. It is easy to forget now that back in year 2000s, the IT professionals, the CIO, were thinking about what server architecture, which server brand that we need to use. So we have to make some tough choices to say, hey, which server architecture should I go with? Together, we have actually solved that. We laid down a horizontal layer of software that cut across servers towers. We brought the ESX as well as the vSphere to market. Bang, it is amazing. It was a game changer. It was so disruptive. We call that an intelligence test. What used to take months to do, now we can only take a few minutes, we can accomplish what used to take months. And what's to take 10 servers, now we only need to take one. I still remember many customers come to our SE, come to me, and go to our CEO, our CEO, Pat Gassinger, to say, hey, we actually remember, at the moment when we first utilized the vMotion capability to move one application from one server to the others. It is truly a holy grail. It's a holy moment at the time. It is disruptive. It was, it was amazing. And then come the second act. The second act is when they're like Apple Computer introduced a lot of smart devices, and the consumers, the employees of the organization to say, wow, this is what we need. Why do I get stuck with the device that is provided to us by the company? It is very rigid, very inconvenient to use, unlike the smart devices that they are so used to using as a consumer. So the trend, the momentum, and the desire to have this BYOD is a very acute requirement. And it provides, creates a big challenge for a lot of our customers, our CIO. At the time it was like, so insurmountable to manage all the different type of devices, whether it's Android iOS or, Mac iOS or Android. Even within Android, there are variants like Samsung, HTC, Huawei, and then Win 10. By using the magic of software, we cut across, we bridge across again. We have this workspace one that provide a unified management, surface or layer, and behind that particular layer, we have multiple type of, operating system behind the scene. So, which brings us to the world of networking. We were begging for a new approach, especially in the face of digital transformation. When an enterprise needs to roll out new capabilities, in minutes, if not days, if not, in a very short time. And then, before that, a few years back when a CIO or line of business need to introduce an applications, the network department say, it's going to take us a month to provision the necessary firewall rules as well as the routing capabilities. A month? Are you kidding? We need to do it in minutes. So, so that's a deep frustration among CIO and networking teams. And everyone was ready to break the chain and do the right thing. Once again, we innovate a horizontal layer in software that shift a rigid state to a dramatically flexible one. When VMware announced Nicira acquisition, Cisco stock fell that day. The industry know that the change is coming. As you know, NSX is now the de facto standard of software-defined networking. Networking as we know it today is no longer the same. It's never be the same again. Finally, there's a much broader questions that we all need to address. All too often, we think of this as an either-or questions. So as a business leader, our CEO often think that they are always bombarded by some statement to say, by a statement like a famous economist would say, hey, what is the sole purpose? The sole purpose of a business is to be profitable, and nothing else matters. It's creating a constant dilemma, a constant friction, for business leaders. We believe that our CEO, Mr. Pat Gelsinger, who was just nominated as in Fortune magazine as the business person of the year, and was ranked number 2. And here's a saying to say, when an organization, when a business is profitable, everything else matters. Not only are we making sure that the organization is profitable, we are also have to do good for the society. So particularly for the tech sectors, because it permeates every layers, every aspect of society, we have the responsibility to do both. The single thing that a lot of VMware employees, colleagues, from our CEO to the first line colleagues that are facing customers, are very proud of at VMware because we create a very positive global impact to the society. We are deeply committing to giving back to the planet and every single community that we are operating in. Our collective wisdom of impact has never been short of extraordinary. We just take one product as an example. We call it vSphere. With vSphere alone, by proper deployment of vSphere, we have saved 500 million tons of carbon dioxide emission. How do we quantify what is 540 million tons? What does it really mean? It means that we can power 68% of the US household for the entire year. If you want to drive a car, perpetually driving a car, we can go to Jupiter and back 1,000 times. If you live in Europe, that means we have saved enough energy to power Spain, Italy, Switzerland, UK, 4 countries for an entire year. It is truly amazing. It cannot be done without you using our technology. We are also delighted to talk about being carbon neutral. A few years back, we set a goal for ourselves to say we want to be carbon neutral by 2020. We actually missed that goal. We did it 2 years ahead of time. We are ready to carbon neutral. Across the global operation, we accomplished this by deploying energy efficiency initiatives, using renewable energy and a lot of new solar capabilities and capabilities like that. We at our headquarters, we partner with our Palo Alto city. So when we generate extra power, when we have this battery storage, solar array, we generate extra electricity that we can actually share with our community. Achieving zero carbon footprint is just the right thing to do. It is the right thing for all the employees. It is the right for our employees. It is right for our company. It is right for our customer. It is right for the community that we serve, that we service. I'm also optimistic. I firmly believe that tech can be a very powerful force for good. Technology, almost by nature, is not either good or bad. Like, we take a printing press as an example. Well, printing press can print education material, which is good. and it can also print propaganda for extremists or terrorists. So the same printing press is either good or bad. It's just how we apply it. Our ecosystem, and we have a role to play because we can deploy technology for good. I'm very optimistic about the future. You know, we call that, right now we are living in an era of superpower. Technology, the superpower of various technology. Together, we can unlock the game-changing opportunities. We have this cloud, mobile, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and edge and IoT. Every single of this superpower can be disruptive, can be transformative to the society that we operate, to the business that we try to run. So with cloud, we have unimaginable scale. Oops. With cloud, we have this unimaginable scale. And if you have $1,000 Hong Kong, you can go to a public cloud like AWS to rent 10,000 cores. With mobile, we have unprecedented reach. We have 1/2 of the Earth populations permanently connected to the internet. I was reading another study. Now we have close to 2/3 of the population of the world having a mobile phone. Artificial intelligence is everywhere. Like 30 years ago, when we first introduced, I remember our CEO, Pat Gassinger, saying that he was a 486 architect. And the marketing managers running to him to say, well, we want to make the 486 the best AI chipset that we ever built. 30 years have gone past and nothing has happened. And now artificial intelligence with additional data, computation capacity and new algorithm, AI is achieving unimaginable intelligence, helping various aspects of our businesses. IoT, connected digital world, digital and the physical world. At VMware, our strategies is to bring the best IT for the IoT environment. Together of this super force, they continue to reinforce each other. The cloud enables more mobile connection. The more mobile connections create more data. The more data creating more use cases for the IoT and edge computing, and more edge computing IoT, creating more capacity and data requirements, creating more needs for the cloud computing. So it continues to reinforce each other. Let me use an example with you. Remember the hard hat that we need, sometimes we need to wear a hard hat in a particular work environment. The hard hat used to just protect your head. Make sure you don't get banged on. So, the hard hat today, we call that intelligence hard hat. It is actually a heads-up AR, VR type of display system. And with this, you are able to see through things. So you can see building diagrams, schematics, HVAC system, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. When you look at a set of pipes, not only can you see the actual physical pipes, you might be able to see the pressure inside the pipe, the temperature. Are they within spec? Are they out of spec? When you look at in the inventory, when you look at what's the right word for it? English is my second language. You can see a list of inventory, the products that is stored inside a warehouse. That's right, the warehouse, that was the word I was choosing. So you have the ability to see through walls via the AR interface. And it's just amazing. This is just an example. This give you a X-ray vision. But this is just one of many, many examples that we use. Behind the scene of this next generation, the hard hat, there is an very complex application architecture. It is actually a system. And John Cage, a famous computer scientist, have a saying that network is the computer. And when we look at that particular example, we cannot help to think, our CEO, Pat Gassinger, to say that the application now is a network and a very complicated one. And that brings us to the vision of VMware. At VMware, we have the vision to say, well, we have any device, a hard hat with AR, VR type of system, any device that can access to any applications, whether the application is a cloud-native application, the traditional applications, or software as a service type of applications. Regardless of what applications, it can be resided in any type of cloud. This is our vision. and protected by a set of intrinsic security. Security today is fundamentally broken. It has always been bolted on as an afterthought. We are constantly chasing the attack of the day. So the past strategy has always been bolted on, chasing bad. And think about how reactive our current security model is today. We first laid the infrastructure, when we build the IT system, we laid the infrastructure without knowing what applications it's going to run on top of it. Then we put applications on top of it. And as time evolved, we continue to optimize the applications, we continue to make it better, we continue to add on to it, and we continue to recompose, grouping various applications together and make a new set of applications. And we ask the security team to do one thing: secure it. It's just always chasing. We are always at the tail end. The security team is saying, "Oh, holy smoke, what is happening? What hit me?" The different threats, that we see in our organizations are thousands. So there are a lot of threats keep coming on to the enterprises in various type of applications. You take a look at your own PC or your own laptop. There is a simple virus scan on your PC that is creating millions of lines of new rules that is changing many times a day. We have to think of looking at security in a totally different way. We have to change from bolted on to having intrinsic security. Instead of chasing bad, we are ensuring good. We have to ensuring good. We are creating a new model of security. We are leveraging, at VMware, we are leveraging our unique position. We can bring visibility, context, clarity around the applications and data we have running on it. Now we are using that infrastructure to lock it down. When we lock it down, we know what is good, we lock it down. It is to ensure good instead of chasing bad. There is a strategy that what we have followed. Intrinsic security, meaning that we build security into all the components that we are providing. On the user side, we have Workspace ONE. On the networking side, we have NSX. On the storage side, we have native encryption built in. And on the compute side, we have app defense. We are no longer chasing threats, but what we are doing is radically reducing the attack surface. We are not chasing bad. We are reducing what can be attacked. This attack surface continue to shrink down. So this is a very important concept. What we are trying to do at VMware is we are trying to enable a new security model. An application doesn't exist all by itself in a data center. There are always thousands, hundreds and thousands of other applications in the data center. And the machine that make up that applications are constantly one application talk to another. Most security are deployed north-south, from network to the applications and back. So what does that mean? Attacker can find an entry. Attacker can find an entry, get into a particular, any type of application that seems to be innocuous, that seems to be harmless, they get hacked into. And then this particular malicious attacker will move horizontally to move east-west, horizontally, east-west, and find the weakest link and find what they seek to steal. There are some applications, there are some good stuff, in the attacker's mind. Your weakest link is the only link that matters. 5 years ago, we introduced a concept called micro-segmentation. We enable you to secure a subnetwork, separating sensitive applications and data and services. The same attacker, the same malicious attacker can no longer use the same methodology, get into your data center, get into a particular application, and try to move horizontally. It doesn't happen anymore because the application that they're trying to get to, the door is locked. It doesn't work anymore. So the idea of east-west isolation wasn't new. It just couldn't be done. It wasn't practical. They didn't have the right technology. Now, with NSX, we are becoming the accepted, if not the standard. But we are not standing still. We continue. VMware continue to innovate what is above and beyond micro-segmentation. Imagine a system that look into the applications running in your cloud infrastructure and map out the purposes, the composition, the intended behavior, the networking requirements that is normal to each VM. We call that, and we define these behaviors. We log it in. We call that, this machine manifest, a definition of intended behaviors, the good set of behaviors that is acceptable. We use, machine learning and artificial intelligence. So instead of chasing malware, malicious codes, we are learning what is the good word, what is the right thing. So the second step, out of the 3 new concepts that we are trying to do, is locking, the capabilities in. Imagine a system that could look into the applications that you are running on your cloud infrastructure and map out the purposes, the composition, the intended behavior, the network communications of each VM. But we know that once you log it, that doesn't mean that the organization, that doesn't mean the business units will stop enhancing their applications. They continue to add to it. They continue to make the applications better. They continue to patch the shortcoming of all these type of applications. But as you patch, as you modify, as you make it better, the system continue to understand the changes and redraw the microsegment and adjust those VM manifests. This is the future. We are working on, we continue to do this. Today, we are very excited to introduce 3 major announcements to help our customers to make that happen. We are very, very excited, incredibly excited to introduce vSphere Platinum. What we are trying to do is we are making the vSphere more secure. Now it's already GA. vSphere Platinum builds app defense built right into, via the vCenter. Platinum will enable virtualized team to make an enormous contribution to the security of your organization. Perhaps a very major step toward more security, better security. Virtualization team will be able to simply and easily see what every VM is intended to do, its purpose, its intended behaviors. We will not allow the system to deviate, to deviate from the clean manifest, the good behavior manifest, and tell the system this is all they are allowed to do. It would dramatically reduce the attack surface without impacting your operations or the performance of your infrastructure. It's like going into a fast food restaurant. You don't just buy a hamburger. You always buy the hamburger with fries. But how can you buy an application? How can you buy vSphere compute virtualization without thinking about how do we protect it? It goes hands in hand. It is natural. So we have this new capability. It's called we have the existing capability called vSphere. We have to find a way to protect it. It just go hands in hand. So also today we announced the vCloud Suite Platinum, which is the vSphere App Defense coupled with vRealize, the cloud management layer. Our third announcement is how we are integrating App Defense with NSX to do what we call adaptive micro-segmentation. With it, network and security team will be able to truly align micro-segmentation with the application, not just with the flow today, but with unique visibility into the app. Lock both the application and the network capabilities together, protecting the applications against the lateral or direct attack. Adapt and automate the segmentation policy as the application changes. Talking is cheap. Seeing is believing. And now I would like to introduce my good friend, Toon, to come up. Our SE director, to give you a demo. So don't listen to me, listen to him, because the demo would illustrate what I just discussed. Thank you. Come on up, Toon. Here you go.
So good morning, everyone. So I guess a VMware event is not complete without a demonstration. So for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to actually walk through a demonstration on vSphere Platinum, just to reinforce some of the points that Bernard has actually mentioned earlier. So can you switch over to demo, please? Thank you. Okay. So on the screen, you actually see a very familiar vSphere client interface. So as Bernard has actually mentioned, we actually built app defense right into vCenter. So you don't have to learn a new user interface to actually use this solution. So with the announcement of the vSphere Platinum, we are basically building or enabling app defense into thousands of virtual machines, as well as hundreds of hosts. Okay, and more importantly, we are providing the immediate visibility into the infrastructure through the lens of the applications. So let's jump into an example. So in this case, over here, there is the e-commerce applications. Over here at the dashboard, you can actually see which are the protected VMs and which are the VMs which is still in discovery mode. So let's quickly jump through an example e-commerce. Basically, we are targeting these 4 VMs in the discovery mode, and we are going to see how we can actually protect it. So if we click on e-commerce, basically it's going to show you a map of the topology of the applications itself, which is primarily a database tier, right here, an app tier, and a web tier. And more importantly, what happens at the back end is app defense is actually learning automatically about the processes and the behaviors of the applications. But as Bernard mentioned, how do we actually know that it's actually learning the good behaviors and not the bad ones? So let's look at services and processes. And you see right here, it actually does this by first verifying the reputation of the binaries, and at the same time, is going to learn the behavior through machine learning. And take, for example, in this case, svchost.exe. If you scroll this right through, you can actually see that it's actually exhibiting hundreds of behaviors through numerous CLI calls. But I think the good thing is with app defense is you don't have to actually manually verify all this. What happens is the machine learning model, which Bernard has mentioned, which is actually trained on millions of instances of goodware, is actually going to verify that for you. Okay, and once he has learned about the composition of the applications, as well as the behavior, and locking it down is as simple as clicking on this right here, verify and protect button. And when you do that, notice that it's going to move the e-commerce applications from the discovery mode to the protected mode. And at the same time, you see this checkbox right here. It's actually creating firewalls, which means that it's actually going to include security as part of the protection. And when we click on verify and protect, basically what it does is it's going to update the policies for compute and network and allow this behavior. So this is how app defense actually learn about the application and lock down an application. But how is it going to adapt to changes along the way? Because as along the way, there may be changes to applications. So let's take a look again, example. So in this case, we see alerts right here. So apparently, in this example, lsas.exe is actually exhibiting a new behavior which wasn't learned earlier in the link process. But again, based on the machine learning model that is running at the back end, it actually knows that this is pretty common. So basically, it's going to allow this behavior, and again, it's going to update the policies for compute and network, and actually protect and allow this behavior. Okay, so this is how, can you switch back to the presentation, please? Presentation, okay. So let me do a quick wrap up on the demonstration itself. So through the demonstration earlier, we can actually see how we could leverage on app defense to actually learn an application. And through the learning process, we actually lock that down as a good behavior. And along the way, there could be changes which will allow it, as long as we verify that it's actually a good behavior. And again, we adapt to that change. And more importantly, with the announcement of vSphere Platinum, we are actually making security a lot more intrinsic within vSphere, and at the same time, reduce the footprint within the data center to make it even more secure. Thank you very much. Back to you, Bernard.
Thank you, Jun. Great job. Learn, log, adapt, and shrink the attack surface. Now let's transition to talking about cloud. We are increasingly seeing more multi-cloud environment. We are actually living in it. So we're not talking about just talking about multi-cloud. We are talking about different type of cloud. We are talking about hybrid cloud, public cloud, local cloud, software as a service type of cloud, edge, and telco cloud. Within the multi-cloud journey, customers are following two paths, most of them. So hybrid cloud and public cloud. These clouds, hybrid cloud and public clouds, are highly complementary. They are not mutually exclusive. They coexist. They help one another. So, but today is driving the usage, the utilization of this type of hybrid cloud and public cloud are by different teams and different needs. Hybrid clouds are primarily driven by the IT operations team. What they are asking for, what they are going for is the infrastructure. They need to use a proven infrastructure for production type of requirements. What they are asking for, they need very good management, high security, networking capabilities, high availability, resilience. For public cloud, the major users are developers, line of business. And what we are seeing is we continue to see more public cloud being utilized. Let's take a deep dive into private cloud. Speaking about hybrid cloud, we have been talking about hybrid cloud for like the past 5 years. We are seeing this trend being accepted. I read a study, IDC, to say, well, in the developed countries, we are seeing 2/3 of the enterprises are actually using hybrid cloud, one form or another. So we are seeing the market continue to heat up. And other part of the world may be behind, maybe in 20%, 30%, but this particular trend is definitely warming up and the market is expanding. What we would like to do is to give the hybrid cloud a definitions that we have been using. So when we can deliver consistent infrastructure and consistent operations, that we call that a hybrid cloud. In this particular scenario, we can use seamlessly an application from your own private cloud environment to the public cloud and back without any disruption to the applications or operations. For us at VMware, we build these capabilities called VMware Cloud Foundation, which is highly agile, scalable, flexible, secure, and efficient. The VMware Cloud Foundation offers a full recipe of helping our customers, helping enterprises to build a hybrid cloud. So it has virtualized compute, storage, networking, delivered as code. On top of it, we have a management layers that operates and automate. The rules of a cloud is we ruthlessly automate everything that we can automate. Now the VCF, vCloud Foundation, is now the most broadly deployed and trusted cloud infrastructure in the world. VCF is a very simple way for you to build your own hybrid cloud. And the partners are embracing this particular set of solutions. We have 3 ways to deliver VCF functionalities. We can do so by combined with integrated and validated hardware. For example, the vSAN ready node. We can serve it as an appliance like VxRail, VxRack. And we have clouds deliver infrastructure. Our latest release, vCloud Foundation 3.5, we provide a greater flexibility as well as support new use cases. Provide customers wider choices of infrastructure deployment options and support of composable infrastructure platform. We can do the integration of NSXT that enable automated deployment of network virtualization software, and we can support containers and Kubernetes. And that is the capabilities of vCloud Foundation 3.5. We support all major server suppliers on vSAN ready nodes. Say, for example, HPE, Dell EMC, and Cisco. We work uniquely with Dell EMC on VxRail and VxRack, and which provide a speed of deployment of HCI appliance and rack scale solutions. It's a powerful set of capabilities. VCF is also supported by our VMware cloud providers. Partners we have as well, with leading public cloud providers like IBM, AWS. For an increasing number of customers looking for full SDDC stack on VCF, we can help them speed up the capabilities of deployment. At the heart of VCF is the vSAN. We now have over 15,000 customers vSAN has, now has the largest customer install base of any HCI providers. We have, more than 50% of the global 2,000 now using vSAN or VxRail by Dell EMC, powered by vSAN. And we have more than 30% of the market shares. Simply put, vSAN is the choice, the technology of choice of these technologies, and we are rapidly leaving the competition behind. Let's look at the hyperconverged and the private cloud area. And we just discussed the hybrid cloud. Now let's look at the public cloud area. We have this incredible VCF capabilities now working with leading cloud providers. And we are particularly excited about our partnership with AWS, which announced a few years back. And I would like a year ago, we are seeing tremendous improvement and take rate, and we deliver on that particular promise. We have expanded their capabilities globally. We are committing to further country rollout. For Hong Kong, we are rolling out in 2019. For China, we're rolling out until 2020. And it is a great privilege for me to introduce Alex Yong, the AWS leader in Greater China, to be on stage with me and share with us some of the excitement that we see together. Alex.
Hi.
Hey, Alex, we are seeing fabulous momentum in Asia-Pacific region and in Greater China.
Right.
Now we are rolling out these capabilities for Hong Kong and soon to be, China.
Right.
So, what are you hearing from customers?
Well, first of all, we made the joint announcement almost like 2 years ago, right? And I see tremendous momentum of customer adopting VMC Cloud around the world, especially in US and Europe. And I was told your team is rolling out multiple regions in different parts of the world with every quarter, right? So that is one strong indicator that people really like, and particular enterprise really like VMC Cloud running on AWS. I think the primary driver for that is like a lot of the enterprise CIO, they just cannot wait for going out and buy a lot of hardware. Even they spend all the time to buy the hardware, they also have to take into consideration what happened if there's better hardware technology coming out. So it creates a lot of a churn for them to expand their platform to support the rapid business growth of their own, right? So that draws a lot of attention and question, and coming to AWS say, hey, can we find a way to work with VMware to see whether there is a way for them to continue to use the vCenter to manage private cloud environment together with the AWS, best of breed public cloud technologies. So I'm feeling really confident, even though we haven't launched in China, there is so many of them are coming to us and ask.
AWS is definitely very hot, and a lot of customers are deriving tremendous amounts of benefits from your service. Can you share with how the customers are benefiting from your services in the region, and share a couple use cases with us?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of when customers came to us, they talk a lot different applications and requirements. I just talk about two of them. Well, first one is disaster recovery on demand. The second one is on how to seamlessly migrate database workload from a private cloud to an AWS public cloud environment. And with that, I think based on the setup, all right, the technology that vCenter can offer, particularly in support of VMC Cloud, the customer can actually use the vCenter to seamlessly utilize the so-called disaster recovery on demand seamlessly within a couple of minutes to move their data or backup data from one AWS region to another region, or from one availability zone to another availability zone within the region. So, well, bear in mind, when it is on demand, meaning that if there is no active usage, they can scale down the DR site tremendously and save a lot of a cost for the customer. And when they ramp it up, we can do it in a few minutes or few seconds. So they really love that. And when they use this seamless migration from private cloud to public cloud, I think they, that vCenter, the unified management console actually helped them, and take care of a lot of those so-called nitty-gritties, painful stuff.
It's just really a powerful type of solutions. I mean, disaster recovery on demand, that you don't have to build your own disaster recovery sites. When you need it, there is it. There's it available at AWS. It's just truly amazing, and moving workload back and forth. So the other one that is getting a lot of the even our VMware colleagues are very excited, is providing providing RDS on VMware.
Oh yeah.
I mean that is such an exciting thing.
To be frank, this is a breakthrough within AWS, all right? RDS is one of the best managed database service in the world. Actually, is actually when you look at the recent couple of years of Gartner report, AWS RDS has been ranked neck to neck, all right, against the traditional two-player, which is Microsoft and Oracle. All right, we rise up so fast. The simple reason is that we already have hundreds of thousands of enterprise customers moving their workload from the traditional enterprise database to our managed database environment. There could be Aurora, there could be some other open source managed database services. So to us, why I say this is a breakthrough for ourselves, because we are now putting the integration so that we allow our RDS, instead of in the past 13 years, we have been operating for 13 years, only operate within the AWS data center. Now we allow the customer, through the vCenter, move the RDS capability into the VMware private cloud. To me, this is a technology breakthrough. Also, it's a philosophical breakthrough. It
is a technological breakthrough. I think not only are you guys excited at AWS and VMware, we are equally excited about these capabilities of bringing RDS to our set of customers. It is tremendous. Thank you, Alex, for joining me on stage. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we actually see tremendous possibilities in various type of ecosystem partnership. AWS is, a tremendous example. Alex being here, tremendously honor our event. Thank you, Alex, once again. So, once again, thank you for joining our vFORUM in Hong Kong. And, my presentation stops here, and I would like to introduce my good friends and my technology teacher, Mr. Dr. Ying Li, to come on stage and share with you the rest of the keynotes. Thanks, here you go.
Thanks, Bernard. Good morning, Hong Kong. Bernard talking about HCI and our private cloud. And underneath the HCI is our industry-leading technology in server virtualization, network virtualization, and storage virtualization. And not only we bring the best technology in private cloud, and also we bring the same set of technology to our ecosystem, to our cloud service provider partners. And to this is the longest and the most successful partner program. We call it the VMware Cloud Partner Program, VCPP. And during the last 5 years, our VCPP program has grown tremendously. Now we have over 1,400, we have 4,200 partners globally, and also we're covering over 142 countries on that. With these partner programs, we'll be able to offer our customer flexibility and choices. You can choose the partners you're most familiar with, and also you can choose the partners that are providing the best technology, best leverage with your business on that. We'll provide you with choices, and we'll make sure when you grow your business globally, and you always have a set of the VMware partners building their technology on VMware software-defined technology and working together with you. And we're also seeing there are actually two trends come out of these VCPP programs. The first trend, we're seeing a lot of partners that not only working with one set of the VMware technology, they're actually working with the full SDDC technology together with VMware. They're building their cloud services, they're building the innovation on top of the VMware's full SDDC vision. And the second trend we're seeing is these partners working with customer providing the most extensive, most critical workload and deliver those kind of services in the cloud services version. And with that, we actually today announce our highest level of the VCPP program. We called VMware Cloud Verified Partner Program. And when you see this logo, you will be sure, number one, those kind of partners, their technology is fully tested, verified, and supported by VMware. And then second, you can work with them, make sure your most critical workload can be supported by these partners. And we see tremendous growth from those set of partners. Just some simple example, IBM. Our business with IBM grew tremendously. Now, overall, we have 1,700 customers globally working with us, working with IBM, that consume the cloud service on that. And last month in Greater China, we announced our partnership with Ali Cloud. And together with Ali Cloud, we'll be able to build in the hybrid cloud vision for our customer in Greater China region on that. So with the cloud foundation, now we'll be able to provide the same consistent infrastructure, consistent operation to your private cloud, to your public cloud, and to your edge devices. And later on, I'll talk more about VMware's edge strategy and edge vision. But a lot of customers come to VMware. They're saying, now, why can't you manage those kind of complex infrastructure, the private cloud, the public cloud, just like you did managing the SDDC services on AWS for us? Can you providing all those technology as a services to us? And that's exactly what VMware will want to do. We're going to deliver a consistent cloud-delivered management experience to your data center, to your remote office, branch offices, and to your edge. And we're taking VMware Cloud Foundation and managing it for you. And that is the project dimension we announced 2 months ago. And with project dimension, we're building on the same proven software stack that providing from hardware side, provided by Dell EMC and Lenovo. And we're using the same hybrid cloud management console that we did for VMware AWS, and providing the services to our customers. And most importantly, all those was VMware operate end-to-end and providing services to you. Those is the project dimension. And with project dimension, we'll be able not only to manage your complexity in your private cloud, your public cloud, but also we are going to managing your complexity in edge devices. Let's talk about the edge. If you think about the IT industry, the last 10, 15 years, all the IT technology direction is more like a pendulum, from centralized mainframe to a distributed environment to the cloud. And we're seeing the edge computing is the pendulum going to another way, because that's a lot of the new application, there's new data generated the IoT at the edge side. Being able to provide the computing power, computing capacity to the edge devices to managing those kind of complexity is the next step for VMware to extending our cloud foundation technologies on that. And with VMware, with project dimension, we're being able to provide the same infrastructure, consistent infrastructure for your edge devices. And also on the device side, we're actually providing technology to help you to manage devices as well. We have two sets of technologies. On one side, we have the iWatch, helping to manage all your smart devices, the laptop, the phone, and the desktop on that. And also, we're providing the project Pulse Center. And using Pulse Center, we'll be able to deliver as a service on that and providing tremendous performance, scalability on that. With Pulse Center 2.0, and you can manage over 500 million devices, sensors, and all that within your IT infrastructure on that. And we're also extending the edge to what we call the network edging. And with Velo Cloud, we're being able to providing the network services to your edge as well. And network edge is essentially the set of functions that optimize, control, managing, and secure your application traffic over the network. And Velo Cloud being able to deliver all those network services and cover your entire IT infrastructure. That is VMware's vision and VMware's technology and VMware's innovation and the edge computing on that. So we're seeing that the business are moving to a multi-cloud journey. And the other major path for our moving to the multi-cloud journey is the public cloud. And as you all see, there are tremendous innovation happened in the public cloud side as well. Alex will be very proud to tell you that each year, AWS will provide more than 1,000 new cloud services to their customers on that. We're seeing the same type of innovation happening in other public cloud, the Google, the IBM, and the Azure on that. But when we're consuming these kind of services, as an IT operator at the enterprise, we're facing new challenges. The challenge is how can we manage the complexity? How we manage and make sure we can also break the silo that providing the public cloud providers on that. And when we're talking to our customers, we're seeing the similar type of challenges we're seeing in the private cloud, in the hybrid cloud. And how do we manage 1,000 objects, different services, containers, applications? How do we make sure all the different cloud accounts that we can make sure providing the right cost model, providing the rest, and make sure all those kind of resource consumption align with the IT priority and the IT's compliance requirement on that. And simply put, we need a new way to managing our public cloud infrastructure. And we'll make sure we're managing that in the right cost, we're managing the compliance, and we're managing the infrastructure intelligently. And that's what VMware is going to do. And VMware, we're going to deliver the cloud operation management services, not only on the private side, but also on the native cloud side. And we are very proud to announce that Cloud Health, one of the leader in the public cloud cost management providers, and join the VMware family on that. And nowadays, Cloud Health can support Amazon, Azure, and Google, and over 3,500 customers globally using Cloud Health technology to manage in the public cloud. And all the major software as a services provider you're familiar with, they are using Cloud Health to optimize their services, the IT capacities in the public cloud and that. And VMware, we're also going to bring a lot of our own innovation technology into Cloud Health. We're going to bring the Wavefront analytics, Cloud Carol compliance into the Cloud Health family on that. We're going to expand the feature to help you manage in Amazon, Azure, Google, or the public cloud. And also we're going to provide those services to our MSP, VCPP partner programs on that. Tremendous technology, help you to manage in the public cloud platform. So there's another new announcement is on the vRealize side. Many of our customers are very familiar with the vRealize operation, vRealize automation technology on that. Today, we're also going to providing the vRealize cloud automation services as a cloud services to our customers. And just like the Cloud Health, as a customer, you can use the services to managing your own VMware cloud automation services to assemble, to managing your different applications, and then to automate the provision your cloud services, and essentially managing these services through cloud brokers. Those are the VMware vRealize automation services on that. So we're talking about a lot about cloud. We're talking about private cloud, hybrid cloud, public cloud, and edge on that. Now let's talk about the network. The last 5 years, we're seeing the network go through the tremendous change as well. With our investment in virtual switch, our acquisition at Sarah, we're on a journey to change the network at the same time. Just look at the number. Nowadays, we have 80 million switch ports managed by our technologies, and we're 10 times bigger than the next competitor in software-defined network. And there were 7,500 customers using NSX to managing the software-defined network, and 82% of the Fortune 500 customers using NSX. Clearly, NSX now becomes the standard and becomes the leader of the software-defined network. And we'll not stop there. We'll help you to not only to virtualize your data center, with our technologies, we'll enable the NSX to the cloud. You can use the same technology connecting your data center to the public cloud, to Amazon, to IBM, to telco cloud, and also using together with Valor Cloud, you can extend the same model to your IoT devices, to your edge, and to your whole WAN network on that, to your branch office on that. And essentially, we're building a complete virtual cloud network. And those is VMware's vision, how the future of the network, and providing the ubiquitous software layer across the data center to cloud to the edge. We're moving from the data center to the center of the data. And the way connecting the data of the center of the data is NSX. Just as Bernard said, there are three fundamental differences from our software-defined network vision with the rest on that. Number one, we believe that the cloud network fabric is end-to-end. And number two, the security is built in that software, built in that network infrastructure. And the number three, everything is built on software, and everything is programmable and scalable on that. That is our innovation. That is our vision and the future of the network. So let's spend a little bit of time on the telco network a little bit, telco cloud as well. If you look at our IT infrastructure, if you look at our data center, nowadays we're achieving over 80 and 90% virtualization rate on our IT data center. But when you look in the telco side, the virtualization is very low. Most of our telco providers on the network side, they're probably only like 10 or 20% virtualization rate. But with 5G, everything changed. And we're seeing the 5G is not a way to increase the capacity, increase the speed, but more importantly, providing different services on top of the network. And for the first time with 5G, all those telco communication service providers has a way to become the first player in the cloud economy. And with 5G and FE, you can provide different services on top of that. At the same time, all the four technology superpower, the cloud, the mobile, the AI, and the edge, and help the 5G, help the cloud service provider to merge a different network together. The wireless and the wireline, the public and the private cloud, IT infrastructure, and telco network. Essentially, 5G and the NFV is a way for telco to catch up to the cloud economy, to catch up to the future of the cloud on that. And VMware, we are proudly providing our vCloud NFV technology to enable all those service providers to accelerate the journey to the cloud area. And with a feature like network slicing, edge services, SUM, and we're providing the two-weapon providing technology, make sure they're building a good fundamental technologies for the future cloud services. And in the short time, you just look at all the NFV technologies, NFV services we provide. We are now over 350 million subscribers using VMware NFV-powered cloud services. There are over 60 operators, more than 120 NFV services that building the NFV services on top VMware's cloud NFV. Tremendous success for our success in the NFV space on that. So we'll talk about cloud. Now let's move the topic a little bit to the application side. More importantly, what's VMware's vision on the cloud native space? And with on the public side, we are starting to see a lot of our customers adopt container as a way to build the next generation native cloud applications on that. And container as a way that very efficient, lightweight, portable, and the value proposition are very appeal to our developers in our organization. And we're also seeing that increasingly Kubernetes become a more standard for the developers to managing the containers, to orchestration the service on that. But we also realize that Kubernetes or containers running on virtual machines. And the virtual machines providing a better support foundation to make sure your Kubernetes cluster, your Kubernetes framework running better. And just look at all the public cloud providers, Google. They're building all their Kubernetes services on top of the virtual machine. In fact, the Google Kubernetes engine is running on virtual machine. And we're working with Google that makes sure that the Google Kubernetes engine run better on VMware technology on that. Simply, we'll help you to solving all those enterprise requirements on the infrastructure, your Kubernetes environment, providing the simple way to manage, to secure, and to make sure all the Kubernetes cluster run efficiently on your private cloud environment on that. And essentially, we are providing enterprise grade for you, for your Kubernetes application, for your developers on that. And today, we're also announcing that VMware acquired Heptio. For you guys that are not familiar with Heptio, this company, Heptio provided their own Kubernetes distribution. And there were 3 very important persons that created Kubernetes distribution, and 2 of them are actually the founder of the company Heptio. And with Heptio, VMware and Heptio working together, on one side, we'll make sure VMware brings the same set of the innovation on Kubernetes to our enterprise customers. And it's also a way, VMware, that we enforce that our commitment to Kubernetes open source community, and we're going to working with the Kubernetes community to bring the best innovation to our customer and to the developers on that. So with that, think about that, and the VMware's PKS, will help you to rapidly develop, operate your Kubernetes environment. And underneath the VMware's PKS, there are 3 fundamental technologies, and we have a BOSH to managing your Kubernetes cluster and the node cluster. And we have Harbor to manage your image on that. And the NSX help you to solving the network problem. Make sure your container have good network connection and has enterprise security embedded under your containers on that. And today, we also, just like a project dimension that we're providing as a service to our customers, today we're also announcing VMware PKS. You can also consume the PKS environment as a service on that. And we'll make sure we are going to managing your Kubernetes environment, the PKS environment, by VMware, and you can build in the same Kubernetes cluster on top of the major public cloud providers, AWS and other ones on that. So essentially, think about that. We have the very broad Kubernetes portfolio. On the on-premise side, VMware PKS working with Pivotal will make sure you're meeting your private cloud, your internal requirement. And with VMware Cloud PKS, we can make sure that you can also consume the same set of services as cloud on that. All those together with Heptio, and we'll make sure we'll bring the rich set of the tools that come from the open source community and combine with our innovation on PKS to our customer on that. Very, very powerful container, very powerful Kubernetes images on that. And as Bernard said, talk is cheap. And any good VMware vFORUM session, we need a good demo. So now let me introduce Toon, come back on stage, and then talking about demo some of the cool features we just talked about. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. I'm back on stage. And what I'm going to demo for the next couple of minutes. It's VMware Cloud on AWS. So Bernard and Alex spoke about it, so we should see it in action. So can you switch to demo, please? Okay, so right here, it's a familiar vSphere client console, which I guess if you are using VMware solutions, this should not be too new to you. And over here, we are going to focus on one use case, which again, Alex and Bernard spoke about, on disaster recovery as a service. So on the on-prem side, you actually have 2 data centers, which is New York City and Tokyo. Take note that in New York City, you have approximately 10 hosts. So right now, what happens is there is an outage in New York City. But again, as we mentioned earlier, we can actually make use of VMC on AWS for a DR scenario. And in this case, the 2 data centers are actually protected, right? The first data center in New York City is actually protected on VMC cluster 1. And similarly, for Tokyo data center, it's actually protected with VMC cluster 2. And as I mentioned earlier, there's already an outage in New York City. And in fact, it has already successfully failed over to VMware Cloud AWS. So right now, you can actually see that approximately 500 VMs has actually failed over on VMware Cloud AWS. So let's take a look at the VMC console. And right here, you actually get a summary, at a high-level summary on the number of clusters that's running in it. And what we want to focus on primarily is cluster 1, because this is where the failover has actually taken place. And there are a couple of things that you probably want to take note of, because in NYC, there's approximately 10 hosts. And in this case, you have approximately 8, about the same number of infrastructure. And at the same time, this is, you don't have to make conversions on the virtual machines because it's effectively running on the same platform, be it on-prem or in the cloud on VMC. And Cluster 1 right now is effectively your new New York City data center, okay? So let's go back to the vSphere client and take a look at Tokyo. Now in this case, Tokyo has got approximately, again, 10 ESX hosts and about 489 VMs. And again, that as I mentioned earlier, if there is an outage in Tokyo, it's going to fill over to Cluster 2. But if you notice, it's slightly different compared to Cluster 1. It's a relatively smaller cluster compared to Cluster 1 with only 3 hosts. But at the same time, it actually has a lot more storage. How could we actually achieve that? It's actually done through a feature called Elastic vSAN. What it does is actually EBS-backed vSAN. You can actually provide a lot of storage through EBS storage in AWS while maintaining the management concept associated with vSAN. So that's how we can actually achieve it. And at the same time, looking at the number of hosts here, 3 hosts, and we have 10 hosts in Tokyo, and in the event of an outage, there's probably not going to have enough compute capacity to actually allow the failover. But again, with a new feature like Elastic DRS, what it actually gives you is the ability to actually instantiate more hosts as and when the workloads actually demands it. So in a way, what happens is you are only spinning up hosts as and when you need it. As Alex mentioned, you only pay for what you use, as opposed to having to build a larger pool of cluster before any disaster happens. Okay, so that actually allows you to create some form of cost saving because you potentially protect workloads with a DR infrastructure, and that actually automatically scales out as and when you need it. Okay, so that's one part of the presentation, and I'm going to switch gear a little bit and talk about cloud health. And as Dean mentioned earlier, it's an acquisition that we've actually done a couple of months back, and what this does is it basically gives you a unified platform where you can actually do a multi-cloud management. So in this VMware Cloud Services console, let's take a dive into cloud health. And right here, it actually gives you a view of the spend or the economics that the organization actually spend on multiple clouds. In this case, you have Azure, you have AWS, VMC on AWS, as well as Google. And for purpose of illustration, let's click through Microsoft Azure, and over here, it actually gives you a view of exactly the line of business and its spendings within these services. And we are particularly probably interested in the increasing red line. What's actually going on, and is there a potential cost savings that we can actually do over here? And in this screen, you actually see the workloads that's actually running within that line of business itself. And we have VMs, multiple VMs running in there, and each costs approximately 50 euros. And within Cloud Health, you actually have a feature which allows you to provide, which actually gives a recommendation whether there are opportunities to actually right size of VMs so that you can actually achieve cost saving. So let's go deep dive into right sizing and virtual machine perspective. And we are interested in integrations, as I spoke earlier. And based on the calculations, it's going to cost approximately 215,000 euros, but there is actually opportunity to actually save about 184 or 85,000 euros. So how could we actually do that? Let's again go into the next level of detail. And in fact, what it says here is we can actually achieve cost saving if we actually reduce or downgrade the size of the VMs, which is right here. Okay, of course, as an administrator or as a person who actually manages cloud, I'm certainly want to do a second check before I actually proceed with any recommendation. So that's where integration with another product of VMware, Wavefront, comes into the picture. Because through Wavefront, you can actually monitor different types of metrics, and in this case, you're actually monitoring the CPU utilization across a period of time. And it's relatively low, so you know that it's probably safe to proceed with the recommendation. So when you actually do that, actions, resize Azure virtual machines, and we actually execute it, basically, you are achieving the cost savings, which was actually listed right here. So that's how Cloud Health can actually help you with providing a good visualization of the infrastructure that's within that's you're actually using. And at the same time, it also provides the costing in this case, as well as the opportunity to right size your VMs. And I guess that's not the only thing that you can actually do. In fact, you can actually use it for monitoring of the security, compliance, and the governance as well. Okay, so that's so much for our presentation, and I'm going to invite James on stage to do a PKS demonstration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm just going to grab the remote from you. Okay, right. So we're going to move the slides forward a little bit so we know what we're talking about over here. So you heard just now from Dr. Liang about PKS and what it can do to actually help you, from a development standpoint, what it can do for you to actually accelerate the whole deployments of containers, clusters, and so forth. Now, one of the things that a lot of people, the developers worry about is about, besides giving me the environment to build application, I need to build the entire environment. And I want to be able to set up not just the development environment, but also the networking requirements. Because without the networking requirements, there is no connection of those apps to the environments that you're in. And so what PKS, and we're going to show you right now, is how PKS can simplify the whole process of automatically building out all these networking requirements on top of that container distribution, management, lifecycle, and so forth. So with that, can you switch over to the demo itself? All right, so this view, I think, has been kind of shown quite a few times. If you are a vSphere customer, you know this really, really well, right? vSphere client, over there, you can see, here you go, the little PKS fully integrated into the vSphere client. So I'm going to get in there. Let's have a look at what we have over here. You see these different instances that PKS manages, right? And over here, you can see that we have, I guess, 5, 6 different instances. Let's have a look at one of them. So these instances are a cluster of containers on Kubernetes that we managed, okay? And you can see over here is that this particular instance called app production or app prod has all the logical networking, layer 2, layer 3, load balancing, all set up by NXX. So what you heard from me earlier is to say that, hey, you know what, you just mentioned that you could actually automatically create the networking objects through PKS. Can you show that to me? So let's just do this. So let's go over to the Kubernetes console, right? And we want to go to this namespace. And what namespace does, for those of you who are not really a developer, is that it's basically a virtualization of a cluster of containers for the sake of tenancy, right? So we put up all these different clusters and so forth. So I'm going to create a new namespace. And over here, I'm going to load a YAML file. Now, if you are a developer, you can actually do a kubecon CTR type control to actually load those namespace up over here. But for simplicity, I'm going to just use the YAML file. Okay, I'm going to load it up. All right, it's going to come back over here. I'm going to go over to the namespace again and have a look. And voila. All right, so we have this namespace called PKS Rocks. But now is that I created this namespace. The magic is that you can now create the networking part of it automatically. So let's have a look at the NXX console or NXX manager. So you see over here, you don't see the word PKS Rock, but let me just refresh the screen a little bit. Boom. PKS Rocks appear with all the routing capabilities, all set up automatically nicely for you, right? This is the magic that PKS deliver to the developers. All right, so can you switch back over to the slides for me? I'm just going to move up a little bit. Back to the slides. You know, the most challenging part of all this is the AV. Can you switch back to the slides for me? Thank you. Anyway, while they're trying to switch, I just want to summarize here a little bit to say that as a reminder, right, PKS simplifies the whole process for developers. Right, full lifecycle management of containers, registry, security, and one of the more important pieces, the networking piece, and so forth. That makes it so much easier for developers. So if you have any more questions from there on, come see us afterwards. We're more than happy to kind of talk to you about it. Now, I want to keep talking about this. So where Dr. Liang left off was that he covered the application part of it, and we want to talk about the device. Now, this whole thing about devices is that it is very close to our hearts. Now, I'm sure all of you have one of these devices with you at all times. My wife reckons that I'm actually closer to my mobile phone than her, but for the record, that's actually not very true. So, but I'm sure all of you have a mobile phone somewhere and so forth. These mobile devices are actually the host that allows you to do a lot of your digitization, okay? But there are challenges that you have to kind of deal with and so forth. Let's go back to that superpower slide that Bernard kind of mentioned, and let's kind of map these devices into these 4 superpowers, starting with the cloud, right? And so with the cloud, you can talk about, you know, desktop and everything else, that now with virtual desktop, I don't just support from a VMware standpoint, not just on-prem. I can put it on Azure, I can put it on IBM and so forth. I can put it on VMware Cloud and AWS. It's your choice, right? All these different devices, right? There are challenges with devices though, because as an organization, you have to worry about how do you manage those devices and everything else, that proliferation of devices and so forth. You know, I was just telling the team yesterday there's 2.5 billion smart devices in the world right now and growing. 1.5 billion of which is in APJ or Asia Pac. I think Hong Kong has a penetration of 250% of phones. So a lot of you guys here have more than one, in fact, more than 2 phones. Well, I'm not sure why you have more than 2, but okay. The point is that there's a lot of devices and everything else. And then you kind of add that on with the complexity of IoT to the edge and everything else. And you can just imagine the issue around learning about all these devices. And this is where machine learning and AI comes in place, because you and I have limited capacity to be able to manage all these different devices, but through machine learning, I can speed up the whole process of managing these devices and so forth. Now, these devices also generates what we call user issues and so forth. And so with users, what happens here is that if you don't get good user experience, you don't actually deliver the output that you want. And we can actually see from results, from surveys and everything else, that a highly encouraged or engaged employee actually delivers digitization 3 times faster. So you want to be in there. So with this whole concept of management, the biggest issue that you have is that you have many, many different platforms. And you can see over here, whether you're Windows users, Android users, Mac users, you decide what you want to do, right? To make it even more complicated, each of these platforms have maybe unique management requirements and so forth. And that really requires a lot of work and everything else and so forth, which makes it really, really difficult for you guys as customers. And in all honesty, this is what Workspace ONE is all about. It's a unified endpoint management platform that delivers the management across all the different devices and making sure that you have the utmost user experience, right? And what we call consumer simple and enterprise secure. So maybe the best way, one other thing here I almost forgot is that we have a lot of partnership that we have done, and one of the big partnerships that we have done is with Dell. And one of the biggest things that we've done with Dell is that you can now provision a lot of your software that you need before you actually get the laptop. So in other words, I put in my username, it gets verified by Workspace ONE, and voila, all your software, the essential software that you need is automatically ready for you. You do not have to wait for it to be downloaded, cutting down the time that you need to set up a laptop for your users to get ready. Now, I guess the best way to do this, like any presentation, demo says it all. So let's just kind of cut over the demo. All right, I'm going to show you a quick demo of Workspace ONE over here. You want to cut over the demo for me? Demo, okay, all right. Now, this is the Workspace ONE console, all right, and you can see over here that we can now manage different platforms over here. Let me just say over here, there's Windows, iOS, Android, and Mac, and everything else. Let's pick one of the more challenging one. I think, you know, whether you love it or hate it, you have to deal with Windows. And so let's look at Windows over here, all right? Okay. All right, with Windows, what we're seeing over here is that there's a bit of we do a lot of patches with Windows, all right? So let me just kind of scroll down a little bit here so you can see. We do a lot of these Windows 1803, 1709, so if you're an IT manager, you know this really well, all right? Windows updates every 6 months and so forth. And what we see over here is that, there's a bit of issue with this patch, that we didn't get a lot of these 1803 patch put across to the users and everything else. Something must be wrong. Let's have a deeper look at what's going on, right? All right, what Workspace ONE shows you over here is that, okay, there's 3 apps that is causing the blockage of the deployment of the 1803 version of Windows 10. And if you look at it closer, it says that the Mondicop sales lead tracker is the lead cause of this blockage. So let's just get in and figure out how to resolve this. And one of the easiest ways is that let me go speak to my developer and say that now that I know there is this particular app, let's go back to the developer and get them to fix it, right? So I'm going to go and create a report, an automation report. And what this over here says is that I'm going to identify I know the problem. I just need to kind of get the guys to do it. So I create a Jira ticket, right, a service ticket to the developer that says, hey, you know what, this is Mondicop sales app causing lots of problems. Okay, you go look at it and try to fix it, right? So this is the IT manager doing this part of the job. Now, to make sure that we also cover everybody, we also notify the developer's manager, because you do not want the manager to say, why are you working on this particular problem? Who says that it is an issue? So Workspace ONE gives the intelligence to do so, okay? All right, let me just save that. And then you can see that these reports and automation reports are created. And so what happens here is that you get notified when the patch is being fixed on that app. Let's go back to the updates, right? And you can see this line over here. This is normal trajectory of how the patching should happen. But at this point over here, that's where the problem was discovered, right? We did the report, we fixed the problem, and you can see now that the uptake of the 1803 patch has picked up dramatically, closing out the gap that is required to basically make sure that everybody has the latest version of Windows 10 and so forth. So with that, as another quick example of how Workspace ONE with all the intelligence actually helps you drive that quicker, better management of all the devices that you have out there. So maybe you can just switch over back to the presentation. I just want to quickly summarize and hand it back to Dr. Li Ying. So a quick reminder here is that if you have multiple applications, multiple devices, and you're worried about how you can better manage them, Workspace ONE is the way to go. The mantra, I'll keep it simple for you. Consumer simple, because we understand how your users behave, and we also understand how the security that the enterprise requires in delivering an enterprise secure platform for you. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for your time. I'm going to hand it back over to Dr. Li Ying to finish up the session itself.
Thanks, James. So what you hear so far, you hear our VMware's vision on any cloud, any application, and any devices. And you see a lot of innovation coming from VMware. But fundamentally, with all the superpower on that, what VMware will want to do is build a solid digital foundation for you to do your digital transformation. Together, we can change the world. We can make the world better. We can make our operation, make our life better, and then we can make the people around us better. That's VMware's vision. That's what I want to do. And today, you also hear a lot from our VMware people. But I know a lot of you guys are our customers. So as a traditional vFORUM, we always have invite some customer come stage to share their view on any cloud, any application, any device, and the digital transformation. So now, first, let me invite our first customer, and Ms. Sue Wang Kwok. And she's a Regional Chief Information Officer for Lockton Company. And Lockton, as you know, is one of the top insurance brokerage around the world. So without further delay, let me invite Ms. Kwok. Thank you to the vFORUM. Yeah, please. Hi, Ms. Kwok. Welcome to vFORUM.
She's not coming.
We'll be one by one.
Oh,
Take your time.
You should have told me. I thought it was a pen. Okay, go on.
Okay. So as our conversation, Lockton has undergoing cloud journey in the last 5 years. In fact, is one of the pioneers on this area. So can you share what's your experience on this journey, and what's good, what's bad, and what's the challenge?
By the way, there's a queue here, so the question is down there. First of all, I've been with Lockton for about 6.5 years, and I think on the cloud in particular, I guess I'm happy to share with the audience. I actually started cloud transformation 10 years ago, 2008. And interestingly, that was at a time when people thought cloud was something in the sky. So I am one of the earlier adopters. In terms of Lockton, I have to say, we started digitization 2013, I think early 2013, and that's when we actually digitize like a lot. We automate a lot of the processes using digitization, all of the finance processes, a lot of approval processes, a lot of HR processes. And cloud was one of the major technology we used to streamline those processes.
Yeah, that's great. So when you decide the transformation, what is the key technology pillar that help you to go through the cloud transformation, the whole transformation process?
Like I said, digitization and cloud. That was the two main, I would say, trend that we used.
Mm-hmm. Great. And I know that VMware has working with you all the time on this journey. You actually tell me that on your IT infrastructure achieve 100% virtualization. That was actually an amazing number. And I think it's probably, even among VMware customers, is very innovation on that. Can you share your experience working with VMware and how VMware helped you to go through this transformation?
I have to say, on this particular question, I actually have a lot of areas. But let me firstly mention that before I came here, because I thought I would never come on a stage to say something that I don't mean. But then I realized, for example, a lot of people here, they're the people who actually ring the hotline. So yesterday I talked to my guy, I said, because seriously, the CIO is not going to call your customer hotline. So I'm not in a position to say, oh, you guys are responsible because I've never called you guys. So I spoke to the guy who actually called. I said, come on, tell me the truth. Are they okay? So his comment was right. He said basically every time they reach out to VM with the customer software at the customer hotline, they get response within the day. They get response. So I think they said the feedback's very quick. Another comment he made was, I said, oh, come on, for such a software, surely there are problems. I said, you're not telling me that software hasn't got any problems. And he said, yes, because it is a sophisticated software. But he did say, whenever there are issues, you guys have always been able to solve it. So that's his point of view, that he's very confident that there isn't anything that you guys can't support him. From a sort of CIO perspective, I actually only care about one thing, and I have to be honest about it. I care about whether your product, your solutions, is aligned with my strategy. And being ahead of the function, my principle and my strategy in running IT function, I want something that's functional. It does what it does all the time, not today, but not tomorrow. I want something that's cost effective. I also want something that's aligned with my strategies. I like a simple environment. And simplification of IT operation is actually my key theme, my key drivers in terms of how I run the IT operation. And in terms of how I can keep my job, I want a solution that can help me respond to whenever the business asks for it. So I have to say agility was one of the reasons why I continue with the product. On the virtualization sort of journey, I did also mention that Lockton actually started using virtualization over 10 years ago. Actually, I think we're one of the early adopters. I think we started using it probably 2008. And so UK and US have one of what's being one of the early adopters. And so in APAC, we were 95% virtualized all these years. And in 2015, I decided that, okay, I want perfection. 95 is not good enough. So we virtualized a legacy system. I come from an insurance company, legacy insurance application running on a very complex database. So we virtualized using VMware, the application and a database. And I have to say we didn't succeed the first time because it was quite difficult. But then I didn't give up. I did it again. So we finally achieved 100% back in August 2015. Wow. And I have to say that's made a huge difference. I was very proud. That 5% took me a long time to make a decision to cross that 100%. But I think the major difference that made to us was prior to that, we have one set of procedures, one set of DR, one set of backup for legacy system, and one set of the virtualized environment. After that, we basically combined everything into one set for all. Is hugely simplify everything.
That's
so
great
thank
story.
You.
Great story. 100%.
It wasn't easy. Yeah. I must say we did it over 2 long weekends because we wanted to give us a bit more time. So we did it the first time I think is in the Easter long weekend. The second time is another public holiday with 3-day weekend. So we needed that extra day to give us the comfort.
Wonderful. So today we're also talking a lot about new innovation, so machine learning, IoT, blockchain, all those technology come to next week. As a CEO, how you view this kind of innovation, and how do you see this innovation help you for your future business?
It's actually a very difficult question, but you're not changing it. So you're still on the first question. Yeah.
Well, we'll just give you some tests.
So what's the question again? So what do I think of them, or?
What's the next, when you're seeing this kind of new wave of innovation on IoT and machine learning and the blockchain, how did you view this new innovation help you in your business? How do you view this transformation?
Okay, on this point, I do want to clarify one thing. First of all, I think Bernard mentioned it. Machine learning is not new. And then machine learning is something that happened back in the 80s. But I think what's become kind of new to the industries is actually become so invasive into our life. But machine learning was something that's actually always, strictly speaking, it's become very, very useful. And another thing on a comment that I also want to make is about digitization. People thought, oh, digitization is new, but it's not new. And I guess I want to share this opinion because I think the industry is very good at coming with a term that dazzles everyone, thinking it's new, but actually it's not new.
Yep, yep.
And I want to point out something that we've all been involved in that journey, and that is emails. Emails is actually, we're talking about turning we used to have office boys, office ladies sort of distributing memos in a brown envelope. What it does is it turns those messages, that memo, into digital form, and since then we can communicate with anyone on any floors in any world. So that's actually digitization of memo information. So, and that was what, 25 years ago?
Yep.
So again, I know the term's become very popular these last few years, but it's something we've actually done, we've been involved in our lives. And imagine it was because of digital cameras. All these social platform relies on the fact that images are digitized, messages are digitized, voice is digitized, video is digitized. So that's a cornerstone of a lot of the stuff we've been exposed to for what, over a decade. So I want to mention that I don't look at these as new technology, but I do look at what I mean is, I think with capacity, with computing power increasing, with the availability of a lot of platform integrating better and better, we're in a better position to use those technology. And one of the one I do want to mention is AI, because first of all, I did that in my, I did that as part of my honors thesis when I was in uni, so that's why I say it's an old technology. But if anybody watched the news last night, anyone watched the news last night? And it talked about AI. Interestingly, it was about 3 patients who have an X-ray, right? But the doctors wasn't able to identify there was a dark mark. You know what the comment said? In future, they think of using AI to better detect those suspicious areas. So we're talking about this is not future, this is reality. And that is the society already believe that AI might be able to deliver these sort of consistency better than humans. So I think cloud is already a reality. It's actually a present, it was a past, it will continue. Mobile is, like you said, we're living in a mobile, everyone has a mobile phone, and we're closer to our mobile phone. In fact, I must say, I sleep next to my mobile phone every night. I don't sleep next to my boyfriend every night, but I sleep next to my mobile phone every night. So cloud, mobile, AI, I think machine learning, definitely I think they were a technology that was invented a long time ago to become more and more invasive, more and more important, and more insignificant in our everyday lives, in our corporate world.
Thanks so much. Very insightful. And thanks for your time. And looking forward as VMware working together with you on your future journey.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And our second customer is Mr. Wan Ping Cook, the head of IT operations from Chongqing Bank. Let's welcome Mr. Cook. Welcome to vFORUM. Thank you. So we're talking about the transformation journey and go through it powered by the IT superpower. And I also want to get a take from you. How VMware solution help you to achieve your IT goals and help you on this transformation journey?
Well, let me think. It's actually when we first started journey with VMware was back to 2013. We are actually looking for server consolidation and containment strategy before we are actually going into the migration phase. At that point of time, we were running out of spaces, so we had plans to move our data center from Hong Kong to Kowloon side. So we first partnered with VMware just by making use of the vSphere solution, which was designed to accelerate our digital transformation. As at that time, our infrastructure needs evolve. And then over time, we also saw the potential of the VMware solution that could help us to become more cost efficient, that can reduce the carbon emission. So we also partnered with VMware to roll out the networking and security solution that was designed for our back office environment. So the good thing to say is VMware has so far been a very excellent partner with us because of the team whose involvement in the execution, and they are very careful, they are very caring about the customer's needs, very supportive, and have strong technical skills. And those are the key factors of our management's decision to employ the VMware solution continuously in the last 5 years.
Great. And what's the outcome? Have you been able to have you achieve your IT goal and priority?
In this kind of event,
just the
I
truth.
In fact, as a result of our partnership with VMware, and I would say that our response time to our infrastructure change has accelerated a lot. And also, most importantly, that we are able to meet the regulatory requirements. That's really important. So with the tightened security and the enhanced control in the solution like the UEM for Workspace ONE, we managed to, again, obtain our management's approval to do our internal deployment. This solution does not only allow us to securely manage our some of the endpoint desktops, but actually it has built security as part of our solution's DNA. And now we have more robust foundation for our infrastructure to react to the cyber attack a lot faster. And we can minimize the security risks of those threats, exposures, and vulnerabilities.
Great. The same question to Mr. Kwok. You hear a lot of the next generation innovations, artificial intelligence, machine learning, edge, and blockchain. As an IT operator head, how do you view this innovation? Are you considering including this innovation in your business, or what's your plan to enable them?
Well, actually, we are currently looking for all kinds of opportunities that cloud technology can unlock for us in Hong Kong, which at this moment, in fact, is caused a lot of attention from the fintech sector. Also, in order for us to innovate successfully in this space, I think it is very important to partner with an equally visionary company. VMware is always included in our evaluation list because we know the company has been researching cloud technology extensively for a couple of years. And also,
our team has built a very close working relationship with the sales and technical teams. So with your new announcements around those blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning, edge computing, we believe we are able to benefit even more from these innovations.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, support for vFORUM and the VMware. Looking forward to future success. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. 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 Thanks. You hear from us, and you hear from our customers. Actually, you know, what's the most important, what's the most amazing things about this customer interaction is, do you guys realize all those 2 CIOs are female CIOs? Amazing. This actually shows what's changing our IT industry. And as a VMware, we're also very putting our inclusion into our priority. And we're going to help the diversity and improve more female engineering ratio and more female coming in our company to working together. So this is only part of a vFORUM session. And there was a lot of other talks, other tracks talking about the innovations and deep dive the technologies. And enjoying your stay for vFORUM, and hope you enjoy our talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee, and all speakers on stage. Very inspirational indeed. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the first part of the morning session is finished, and there will be now a short break. Light refreshments have been prepared for you outside at the foyer. So during the break, please kindly talk to our VMware staff and partners at Solutions Exchange and VMware Zone, and be inspired at the Solutions Exchange Theater. While you're looking around, please also remember to join the showcase game to redeem a charging cable. The redemption counter will open at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. The second part of the keynote session will continue after the break. I look forward to welcoming you all again in 20 minutes. So it's about 11:25. See you all in 20 minutes. Thank you.